Okay, Steve, it is so good to see you, my friend. It has been far too long.
It has been a while, yes. We've been still doing concerts, but I guess, since COVID, I mean, it's already been 5 years, but I don't think I've been in the studio for several years now.
And it's been far too long since you guys have brought like the amazing gift of music to the larger Guam audience and everything. Doing it the way that you have always done is, in the traditional way, introducing like young people to the classics.
Yeah, we did a concert back in October of movie music and stuff like that, Ghibli studio music, which was pretty popular. And we did a seaside concert, not a seaside concert, a Christmas concert at the mall this year. We had our annual Young Artist Competition at the end of January. We had about 30 kids in it. And then, fortunately, the 3 first place winners in the elementary, junior, and senior division all happened to be violinists. And 2 of the 3 were playing pieces by Tchaikovsky. And the third one, in elementary division, also had a piece by Tchaikovsky that they could kind of work up. So I decided to do a short all Tchaikovsky program to end the season, which is going to be a lot of fun. It's this Sunday.
And if you know anything about like music, short and Tchaikovsky
well,
is kind of interesting because his movements are rather grand.
Right. Yeah. He writes bigger pieces like, probably the 3 most famous ballets ever composed are by him: Nutcracker, Sleeping Beauty, and Swan Lake. Yep. And so we're going to open up the concert with the Capriccio Italian by Tchaikovsky. It's Opus 45. It's maybe a 15-minute work. It's interesting because a lot of composers at that time they called it exoticism, where they were interested in like sounds of far-off lands. And at that time, going from Moscow to Italy wasn't exactly an overnight trip. Right? So this piece has a kind of an Italian kind of flavor to it. It has some really, really nice music, okay, and it kind of gives a feeling of funiculi, fucina, some kind of nice tunes and stuff like that. It's really, really fun. And then after that, we're going to be doing excerpts from his Swan Lake Suite, Opus 22A. So we're not doing the entire suite. The entire suite's 45 minutes. We're going to do 4 or 5 selections from it. Start out with the famous tune with the oboe, and then go through some of the dances in the middle and end with the selection that ends the entire ballet.
And of course, the oboe is very, very much a signature of like Russian composers, Peter and the Wolf and like them.
Oh yeah, very good. Prokofiev, Peter and the Wolf that's a great piece for kids and stuff like that, where the oboe represents the duck, and the clarinet introduces the cat, and the bird is the flute and stuff like that. We have a wonderful, talented oboist, Amanda Bateman. Is fantastic oboist, and so she's playing principal oboe on that. And then after
Amanda
that,
actually plays several instruments, I know, and she's very, very good.
Yeah, she has a band, and she's JFK, and she does
JFK's teacher, yep.
musical. She did Into the Woods over here as conductor and stuff like that, the last 5 years and stuff. Very, very busy, and we're lucky to have her here with the orchestra, and she's teaching a few classes at UOG.
She also runs a really tight ship. I've seen her conduct and everything like that, and they're on point.
Yeah, she doesn't take any slack from people.
Yeah.
And then after that, we have our 3 soloists. So our elementary division winner is Carol Huang. And then her older sister, Bella Huang, is the junior division first place winner. And finally, Grace Kang is the senior division winner. And Bella's going to be Carol's going to be playing the Tchaikovsky Melody, Opus 42. It's a really beautiful piece that's been done in various transcriptions. Like I have a version for clarinet and piano, but it's originally for violin and orchestra, violin, piano, violin, and orchestra. It's a short little piece. And then after that, her older sister is going to be playing the Tchaikovsky Waltz Scherzo, which is a little more intricate piece, about 6-7 minutes long. A lot of fun, beautiful waltz feel with slow section in the middle. It's really nice.
And then, the slower parts are typically the more challenging to play because they hit the individual notes hit harder, right?
Yeah, they hit harder, and then there's a lot of, you could use the word rubato. You can play around with the rhythm more in the slower parts. But it's a really fun piece, very virtuosic. And finally, she's in 11th grade now, Grace Kang, I believe 11th or 12th. She's playing the last move of the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto, which is one of the staple repertoire pieces for any concert violinist. And she plays it brilliantly, very, very beautifully. It's fun to accompany her with that, and it's going to be a nice conclusion to the concert. The concert's not that long. I found that the format that works here in Guam, you go to, I was in Japan over spring break, right? I went to see the Tokyo Metropolitan Symphony. You want 2 hours of solid music, right? Audiences on Guam, they take kindly to maybe shorter programs. So this program will be about an hour or so, give or take a little bit. No intermission, so we're going to, those are the 5 pieces that are on the program. The Capriccio Italian, excerpts from the Swan Lake Suite, and then those 3 solo pieces. It's a fun concert. The music's very upbeat, and it's probably stuff you've heard before. So that's one of the selling points I always give to people about classical music concerts.
Again, with Tchaikovsky, everybody knows the 1812 Overture, even if they can't like mention it by name.
Right. So you would think, they would know that Romeo and Juliet Fantasy Overture, 1812 Overture, the first piano concerto, big works like that. So these are.
I don't think I've ever seen like an Olympic like a figure skating couple that hasn't used Romeo and Juliet.
Probably so. Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very popular. So it's going to be a fun concert. The concert is here at the UOG Fine Arts Theater. Doors open at 2:30 this Sunday, May 4th. Concert is at 3 p.m. Give or take a few minutes. We make sure everyone gets seated. It's $10 general admission, $5 for students, military, and senior. You must present a valid ID.
Excellent.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. We have a good-sized orchestra. Again, I've probably mentioned this before, but I mean, in the arts, you've probably heard this a lot, the COVID situation really put a damper on a lot of performing arts organizations. Just like, when you go out to a lot of restaurants close early now, right? Orchestras kind of realized they didn't have to do as much work as they had to do sometimes. And it's slowly getting back, and the orchestra's growing and sounding better and better each season. So I'm happy that this is our final wrap on the season, or I can't remember what number season it is over here, but we've been doing this for a long time.
And I'm sure people that do what you do for a living, Steve, the whole concept of social distancing, like remember that term, is really, really hard when you're trying to put together like a proper ensemble, and the arrangement of the various pieces and everything generates the sound that makes much of an impact.
It was really, really difficult. But we're, things are coming back together now, and it's good. It's a lot of fun, and the orchestra sounds good.
Okay, so there's probably a misconception that people think like to truly appreciate like this type of music and everything, I have to come to UOG and I have to study music theory from you and your colleagues here and everything. But this type of music directly resonates with young people and really makes an impact on them with a lot of the contemporary stuff that they probably listen to on Spotify every day.
Yeah, and so when I was growing up, a lot of this music was I absorbed it through osmosis by watching cartoons. Because a lot of the Bugs Bunny cartoons and Tom and Jerry, they use classical music. Nowadays, this music is used in various incarnations and different settings and stuff like that. And like you said, a lot of people, they know the tunes, but they don't know what it's called. Plus, the most wonderful thing today is the YouTube ability to kind of go down that rabbit hole, because you can take the name of a piece of music, have dozens and dozens of different performances, even with scores, music scores sometimes, if you read music, or you can watch them play it on the piano with all those kind of, fancy lights and everything to watch your fingers go by. And so it's really easy to access this stuff. And that's one of the things, it's very recognizable music, and we tend to program more of the recognizable stuff here on Guam.
Ozzy Osbourne for decades always came out to O Fortuna, not by Tchaikovsky, but
I just played it in music history today. The kids,
very nice.
I said, guys, how many? This is a very common issue these days. How many know Karl or Carmina Burana? No hands, right? Yeah. And then I play it, like, oh yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
now you have the name to go along with the piece of music. So that's the same kind of thing with this concert over here. You've probably heard these tunes before, and it's always nice to put a name to a place or a piece of music, right? So that's one of the fun things about coming to a concert.
And now
like this.
let's wrap with this, Steve, because every time I talk to you, and the symphony has a performance, like somewhere, whether it's at the EPAL Beach Amphitheater, whether it's here at UOG in the Fine Arts Theater. What do acoustics mean to the way that the ensemble is going to play and the way that the symphony, will impact the audience? Because I mean, it's all about how sound bounces off the walls and carries.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, we rehearse in this room. This is our main music room here, and it's very dry sounding. And it exposes a lot of issues, which is good. But when we get on stage
like
here...
a smoke test, right?
Yeah, like the Fine Arts Theater here is much more forgiving, and it's much more resonant. And it's a much nicer feel when we get there. So we've talked about this before on and off camera and stuff like that. In lieu of a excellent performing arts center, I mean, we still are doing concerts here at the Fine Arts Theater, and it's acoustically, it's good for our size of orchestra, and it makes the orchestra sound good. It's a nice, inviting environment for the audience too. So acoustics are very, very important in these situations, and again, with Guam, we're still waiting to build that concert hall one of these days, the big concert hall somewhere, and see what we can do. But until that time, there's a handful of locations, and so far for our size orchestra, the Fine Arts Theater has been quite good. All
right, and in the more immediate future, go to Mass, everybody, then go get some lunch somewhere at one of the malls and everything. Go pass by a restaurant, then swing by UOG and have an amazing show.
Yeah, we do it at 3 o'clock, so people have time to after church get some food, like that. So, and then after that, it's dinner time already. So
all right, well, Steve, we'll see you then.
Thank you very much. Good to see you.